All right, good evening, everybody. Welcome to Isshinryu Today. What a beautiful Sunday it is here in Lexington, North Carolina. I'm the host of the program, Kyle Forrest. Sitting in tonight as my co-host is Rebecca Forrest, and we've got a great show lined up for you always. We put a lot of work in this week for this week's show, and this is Code 5, uh, Episode 5, Code 5, talking about Code 5 in Isshinryu Karate. Wonderful day here in Lexington. It's not real hot and it's not real cold. The sun is shining. It's a very beautiful day. So I hope it is where you're at too. If not, maybe some of this is headed your way. So just want to welcome everybody to the program again this week. This is our second one this week. We did one Wednesday. If you missed it, you can always check it out. Just go to our YouTube channel, hit the like and subscribe button and subscribe, and you can watch all the programs. We try to do one every week. We try to go live here on Sunday at 3 o'clock in your afternoon, just for your entertainment purposes, but to really spread the art of Isshinryu Karate. So, as we get started into our program this evening, I have a few shout outs that I'd like to give out into the first part of the program, as we always do here on the show. And first one is to our loyal listeners. I'd like to thank you for tuning in with us each week and every week and watching and helping us to do our part and to spread and preserve the heritage and lineages lines in which we came from and to spread the master's dream, and that is Isshinryu Karate and the culture of Okinawa and the culture of his. And speaking of Okinawa, I'd like to give a shout out, of course, to our founder, Grandmaster Tatsuo Shimabuku. Thank you, sir, for creating this wonderful style of study that has really made a difference in my life, changed my life, opened my perspective, and gave me some direction. So, without the founder's dream and without him sharing with our first generation students, would like to give a shout out to you too. Without him sharing with them gentlemen and them gentlemen being obedient students, and bringing Isshinryu back to the United States to share with the second generation students, to share with all of us and spread it throughout the United States and worldwide. They did a great job, as far as doing this, especially when it wasn't here. Um, and I want to say hello to everyone tonight, and I want you to feel like you're part of the program. So if you write a comment or a question in the comment section, make sure you put your name beside your comment. Hello, Sensei Kyle. How's Rebecca? She's doing great, and I don't know who it is, but it's a Facebook user, and I thank you for tuning in. But just to answer your question, um, Rebecca's fine. She's on the program and she's tuning in. So, anyway, I want to give a shout out to our founder. I want to give a shout out to our first generation students, and I want to give a shout out to our second generation students. And I'd like to say, oh, it's Sam. Hey, Sam. Samuel Sadiq from Washington. How are you, brother? Thank you for tuning in to the program. Great to hear your voice. I hope everything's going good for you. And those four generation students, the first generation students, I'd like to say thank you, really, because, you know, making a sacrifice is one thing for our country. And, there would have been others but to bring Isshinryu to the United States, but they gave the ultimate sacrifice for our country so that we could be free. And we can never overlook that. So I want to say thank you for that. And thank you for coming in, bringing Isshinryu back to the United States and sharing and starting Isshinryu in America. I mean, just think about how challenging that. I mean, I run a school too, but I can't imagine starting up a new system that was just not here. It was non-existent. That's amazing to me. And then the knowledge to teach others and ask them to spread it. That speaks volume. So we must remember, like we say on the program, we must remember where we come from in order to know where we're going. So we must keep that part of our training in existence by sharing with others, and that's what we want to do here on the program. And we want to welcome everyone to be here on the program and share Isshinryu's dream and share Isshinryu with everyone, and just communicate with our brothers and sisters in Isshinryu. Glad to be here. First time viewer, Want to give a shout out to Gregory Wright out of Knoxville, Tennessee. Thank you for tuning in this evening, brother. It's great to see you. Great
Welcome.
to have you on the program, and I hope you'll enjoy tonight's program and continue to stay with us because that's what we want to do is just welcome anyone in the martial arts, but our Isshinryu family all over the world that we, when COVID was here and we had a hard time getting to go see everyone, this was our way of communication. And now that we have this platform, we want to take this platform and spread it worldwide, which is helps contribute to the master's dream, which is what the show is all about. I have a special guest this evening, and it's her also first time user or first time viewing the show. And that's my mother in law, Miss Sandy Warren. I want to say hey to her while we're live on the air. Hey, Miss Sandy.
Hey,
Thank you
Mama.
for tuning in.
Hey, Mom.
It's an honor to have you. It's Rebecca's mother. But we'll get started with the show, guys. I just want to take a few minutes to give a few shout outs. At this time, this is where I'll be quiet and I let Rebecca do the announcements for the show. She'll tell you how to be on the show if you'd like to be a guest, do an interview, share your training thoughts, share your training history with us. We would love to have you on the program and share your story. But tonight we have chosen code number 5. We're doing the 8 codes in the series. We're on code number 5, and we'll review the past codes and the past shows that we've done. But for now, we're on code 5, and we're going to talk about that code in detail and discuss it and see where we go. So, if you'd like to be on the program tonight, it's very simple. She's going to tell you how to do that. Miss Rebecca Forrest, please come on and talk to us about some announcements that you have.
Okay. Hello. Welcome to Isshinryu Today, the podcast. Now, first of all, any of the grandmasters, masters, black belts who would like to be guests tonight, I have just posted our link in the comments. You click that link and it just follow the directions. If StreamYard asks for permissions, just accept them. Um, that will allow you to jump into our studio, and then Master Kyle Forrest will be able to see you and pull you on live right now. And you can do that anytime within the show. Just click it and come on. First announcement that I would like to do is September 14th, 2024, in Anderson, South Carolina, will be the Circle of Masters. It will be hosted by Grandmaster Phil Little. And as I have said in many shows before and many times before, this is something that you, ladies and gentlemen, do not want to miss. There is no age restriction. Any age can come. Any belt rank can come. Come. It is a day full of learning and it's inspiration. And you know what? If you feel like you just have no friends at all, you will have a family by the time you leave there, and that I promise. And that includes me and Master Kyle. We will be your brother and sister forever. But that will be at 201 East 201 East Reed Road, Anderson, South Carolina. That is the Circle of Masters, September 14th. Also, we have there is a tournament that is coming up. It is hosted by Master Tony Williams. It is coming up in Crossville, Tennessee, May 18th. It is called the Middle Tennessee Isshinryu Open Karate Games. For more information on that, go to Facebook, look up the Lebanon Dojo page, and you'll find more information on that, including how to register and what time it starts and all that. Happy info. If you would like to be on Isshinryu Today on a live podcast with us at any time, send us a message. Send us a messenger message or go to isshinryutoday@gmail.com. And that way that we can get up with you guys and get you scheduled for a show. Right now, we have openings. Come on. Come on. What y'all waiting for? Um, and I think my last little announcement that I'm going to do is if you're watching from our Facebook group right now, give us some love. Give us some love, brothers and sisters, by hitting the like button. And if you are watching from our YouTube channel, just give us some love there too by hitting that subscribe button. If you've never subscribed, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and don't forget to hit the all in the notifications. That way you guys can stay up to date on our current show or current podcast that will be coming in the future. And I do believe, whew, that's all I have.
All right. Well,
Back to
um,
you, Mr. Host.
all right. Well, thank you very much for the announcements. It's very informative. I do want to make a few announcements. If you guys are doing your classes, um, and you'd like to have your show or your class featured on Isshinryu Today, we have that option. StreamYard, what we use is we can stream this on any social media network that we need to stream it on at the same time. So I could have my class, you could have your class,
Hmm.
we could have your class live. It's just a matter of you cutting your camera on and clicking that link, and we can have you up here showing, demonstrating, or whatever. And in the future, later on down the road, we do have some live classes scheduled that we're going to do on the program. So you'll be able to train with other masters and other schools as well. I think that's a great feature that we have here through this program. The reference
Yeah.
book that I'm using for the codes and throughout our podcast is this book right here. I'll try to show it. I get my camera just right. It's called Isshinryu Today: The Ultimate Fighting Art, and that's by Harold Long and Tim McGee. This is the reference book that I have. If you'd like to follow along, if you have this book, if you don't have this book, you can get this book. Just contact Hanchi, Grandmaster Phil Little out of Anderson, South Carolina. He has these books, and you can get you a hold of your book too, and he'll even sign it for you. I'll talk to him and see if he'll do that for him. But anyway, the fifth code of Isshinryu Karate. We talked about the first code a little bit. You know, a person's heart is like heaven and earth. We did a whole show about that. And I think that that we're coming into a reference of everything that you do in Isshinryu Karate has to include these eight codes or these eight rules or these eight standards, whichever way you look at it is fine, as long as you're looking at it. So that's what we want to really keep these types of things and these standards alive uh, for our practitioners, for ourselves, but more importantly, as we're finding as we go through these codes, it's what you can learn and how you experience in using these things, not only in the dojo, but outside the dojo in everyday life to help someone else. And it's following all back to remembering where we come from in order to know where we're going. The second code that we talked about was the blood circulating is like the moon and the sun, so that now we have the heart and then the blood, and then the manner of breathing, the spitting or drinking is neither hard or soft. Talking about the breathing exercises that, oxygen pushes the blood to the brain. We had shows about this, and it's great. And you can go back and look at the other shows, but I really want to get to tonight's. Um, and then we had a person's unbalance is the same as weight. And we had an honored guest that popped up on the screen, just like we're offering you a chance to do, Master Neil Simpson last week from Florida. And we were talking about how it correlates into what katas we'd use it for and how to keep balance and balance not in everyday life. So, three of the things that we want to touch on is spiritual, physical, and of course the mental and the verbal aspect of our training. So tonight's code, it says code number 5, the body should be able to change directions at any time. The body should be able to change directions at any time. And if I go to the book and I look at the codes, the Isshinryu Karate codes, and it says a person's the body should be able to change directions at any time. And in Harold Long's book, it says the body should merely respond to events instead of allowing the mind to anticipate or attempt to outguess events. So I want to talk about that for just a few minutes, and then we'll talk about some other things. But it says that we should respond to events merely than to outguess events. So a difference in a response, and we talked about this too, a response and a reaction. A response is a action as far as moving or responding. It is a verb that is puts action to it, and I respond versus react. A reaction is kind of past tense. So in other words, if I hit my thumb, my reaction is to grab it and say, ow. Well, it's a little too late then. But if I see the hammer and I respond that that hammer could possibility take a notion to hit my thumb, and I see this, I could prepare myself before it happened. So instead of trying to outguess whether it's going to hurt or not, I'm going to go ahead and assume that the hammer hitting the thumb is going to hurt. So I'm going to remove that before it has the chance to injure my thumb. So a merely reaction and response. So instead of trying to say, well, this is going to happen, no one can predict the future of what's going to happen. We have to deal with the here and now of what is happening, but we have to prepare ourselves for anything that could happen. And that's what it's talking about when it says the body should be able to change directions at any time. So let's take the first two words again, just like we did a person. A person's unbalance is the same as weight. When we talked about a person, um, that was kind of singular, so it was kind of hit home with it was just me we were talking about, and if I'm unbalanced in any way. But in this case, the body should be able to do something. It should be able to do. Now, it's not talking about just the head. It's not talking about just the hand. It's not talking about just the leg. It's talking about the body, the whole body. So everything that's consumed inside the body, everything that is portrayed outside the body, and even our mental, our spiritual, and our physical aspects works as one to complete the body. So it says the body should be able to change directions at any time. That's very critical, especially in a fighting situation. Um, if the fight is going one way and then it changes directions and I'm not able to adapt to it, that could be another obstacle for me to overcome. I could be unbalanced. I could stumble. I could fall. I could trip. I could do something. But recognizing these things and putting myself in a position in that fight, that's what I believe that the masters are talking about here. I think that's what the codes are saying as far as the body should be able to change directions at any time. Now, changing directions does not always mean turning around. It does not always mean turning left or right. It may not be even turning at all. The direction may be up or down. It may be the tempo in which everything is happening. I may be going too fast and I need to change directions and go slower. That's a change of direction. And direction, I think, is a key word that's in this code. Direction. Which direction are you going? Is it the right direction? There's also the yin and the yang of that, the soft or the hard, whichever way you look at it. And there's a wrong direction. Uh, there may be a direction that I've never been before, and then there may be a direction that I revisit. Maybe I forgot something, or I left something, or maybe I didn't learn everything that I have to revisit. So, which direction you're going, I think, depends on where your heart's at, where your mind's at, and your manner in which you do this, the manner of this thing. But a person should be able to change directions at any time. What I mean by that is if I'm in a fight and I'm going all out, I'm going straight forward, and then all of a sudden, boom, something pops up in front of me and I have to change directions. I should be able to do that at any time in the middle of maybe a middle of a punch. I get my whoa, I got to change directions. I got to change the technique. I got to change my position in the fight. I can do everything about my position in a fight, but it's very hard to do anything about my attacker's position in a fight. That's their position and they chose it. And so, in as far as the physical realm, yeah, we should be able to change directions at any time because we never know what may happen, but we want to have a response to anything that could happen. And anything could happen, and anything can happen. Some of you have experienced that on a first-hand basis. Um, in your lifestyles. Some of you have been in altercations. I know I've been in altercations to where at that moment, I had planned on doing things and it didn't quite work out. And then I had to automatically just change directions altogether. Well, if I never traveled that path and I never trained to travel that path, then that's going to be a bumpy road for me. The ending may not fare in my favor, which isn't a bad thing either, because that's going to teach me lessons of things not to do, which is a direction that a lot of us need to experience anyway. So, one of the things I want to talk about in a fight is talking about changing your direction. Maybe I have performed a head block and I need to change my direction immediately after that to a low block, maybe to gain position or change the direction of my attacker, so that I can control that attacker, so that I can create an opening or another direction that I may have to change so that I can run and get away to safety. Maybe I need to change things in my life, that is the reason I'm getting myself into a lot of situations, is maybe I need to change the direction of my demeanor of how I approach certain things or how I speak to certain people. Maybe I need to listen into other points of views. Maybe I need to take in everybody's thing and consider what works best for me, may not work best for you. So I need to have different perspective on things. I need to be able to change directions at any time. If I see that my behavior, and now we're talking a little bit about the spiritual aspect of what sets up some of these physical combative things, is the demeanor. What is my intent? What was my intent? Did I intend to go in angry, unbalanced? Did I intend to go in harsh because someone has offended me? Maybe I should look at that offense that they're trying to tell me in their point of view and get an understanding before I approach this. Um, Now, if I approach it first, then it's a reaction. It's not a response. Maybe I need to, maybe I need to change and listen to what they're saying, and maybe help them change directions so that we all get a full understanding of how they're feeling, what's causing them to feel that way. What can we do to help them through their struggles? Have we experienced the same thing? Maybe we need to go down that direction or down that path for a reason. Maybe God sent us down that path to experience something because he knew we could handle it and that person couldn't. And now it's our responsibility, just like on the show, to share with others so that they do go through these things. Now they have a resource. Maybe that's why we had to change our direction. Maybe it wasn't the path that we chose. Maybe it was something that was beyond us. I don't know. I'm asking you as loyal listeners, share your knowledge, share your comments, share your thoughts on this, because I want to see, in Harold Long's book, he said we need to recognize others' ideas on this and others' responses to events on this. So changing your direction. Maybe let's take, and I like to use this example, and I've talked about this a lot. Maybe that I go to school and I graduate from school, and then once I'm done with graduation, I choose a field of study to further my education, maybe in a college curriculum. Maybe that's the direction that I'm heading. And maybe when I get all the way graduated and I get my degree, I'm so excited and I get started and maybe I receive a job, maybe. Okay. And the direction I'm going is exactly the way I had it planned. And then all of a sudden I get that job and I'm like, all my training, my certifications, this is the dream I've been. And then all of a sudden you change directions. This isn't really what you was called to do. Maybe this isn't what you wanted to do. Maybe it wasn't what you had hoped it would be. Now your response to that event is changing directions. Well, the body should be able to do that at any time, according to this code. I should be prepared enough that if I do have to change directions, What's my plan B? I done spent all these years studying this. If that's all I know, that's all I can do, I'm going to be miserable for the rest of my life because I wasn't satisfied with the outcome that I thought it was going to be. That's what I'm talking about, folks. That's real life training there. You need to put this into your kata training. You need to, when you approach that kata, you may have an idea how the kata is going to go. You may get in there and say, look, well, I want my kata to look this way, so I'm going to train this way for it to get that way. And then it gets that way, and all of a sudden, it don't have the same appearance. It has taken a new approach on you. It's and now you got to change directions. Maybe I got to soften up some hard areas. Maybe I got to harden up some soft areas. Maybe I've got to adjust this for because of physical ailments now. I can't do it like I used to, maybe my direction has changed. Well, my body should be able to change directions at any time. It should be able to adjust to that if I've trained in all aspects. And what I mean by that is this, not saying you're training wrong. Okay. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying maybe you're not training to the full effect. Maybe you're not preparing yourself for this side of it. Maybe you're not seeing this person's point of view of it. Maybe you need to implement some of that. Maybe you're not going fast enough in certain areas. Maybe you need to speed it up a little bit. Because let's face it, what's at the end of the direction? Another direction. Otherwise, you stop. At the end of that direction is another direction. And everything that you've carried with you, if you haven't shared it with someone or you haven't changed your directions, it's going to die with you or it's going to be irrelevant. But if you continue to share, you continue to give, you continue to care for others, that direction is circular and it's never ending. Remember, we talked about Seishan being in a circle. Okay. It's in a circle. It has no ending, it has no beginning. And you must defend yourself completely in all directions. Now, the body should be able to change directions. Maybe you're having problems stance shifting. Maybe you have a problem making everything arrive at one time. It doesn't say part of the body. And I see this a lot in kata, and it's okay because understanding it is what I want you to do. Understanding what I'm talking about is when let's say in Seishan, I look to the left or Jinto or Sauchin or Nahachin or Wansu or Kusaku or Sanchin or Tokumini. We could go on with all of them. But let's say when I change directions, if I leave something behind, that's going to be the thing. I'm telling you guys, I'm telling you. If I leave something behind in that kata, that's going to be the thing that I needed to save my life, and I'm going to have to go back and pick it up. However, if I could have trained myself into transition, into the changing of time, the metamorphosis of the changing of times, and took everything with me, I would have all my tools in a toolbox that I need to be able to change directions at any time. And I see this all the time, a lot of, especially not picking on new students, but I'm a new student too. Training, you seem we seem to get in a hurry. We want to get to the ending. We want to, and that's what everybody looks at is the ending. Ending. I made it. I did it. Yay! But there's a lot of in between things that we leave behind. The transition of this stuff is when I move, I need to take everything with me. The continuous movement of this, taking the whole body with me when I turn. And what I mean by that is transitioning of stances. Do I step forward in a stance? And I'm asking a question here. When I step forward in a stance, do my leg hits first and then my knee catches up, then my hips come, then my shoulders, then my head, and then I am there. I got everything there finally. And it took me 5 or 6 different steps. Well, what if I changed the direction in that during the middle of that? Maybe once you got your leg planted and your hips forward, maybe I need to go back the other way. I need to turn around because there's an attacker there. Well, the only part that's left back there is my head and my body. Okay, it's already there. How am I going to transition the other part that's unbalanced with each other to turn it around to go? So, what I'm saying is, folks, there's always things that you can do in your training to transition yourself into the movements. Now, let's talk about this in life. Let's talk about this in life. Are we unbalanced? Um, are we doing certain things a little more aggressive and not paying attention to the softer things? Maybe our lives are unbalanced. Maybe we've got too many parts of us in many different directions, and it's just eating at us. It's just pulling us apart to where our body is not one at one time anymore. Maybe we need to collect these things, and maybe we need to uh, change our directions to where we're putting everything that we have, and that's my point, putting everything, our whole focus into this area, pulling it back, and then putting everything that we have into this area. When you do that, when you neglect a part of the plant that needs water, it will die. So if it's your relationship, if it's your job, if it's to if it's to many different things, we put too much focus and we put everything in this area and our direction changes. When we go back, that part of the plant may not be alive. We have to disperse water evenly throughout everything that we're involved in. And that creates a balance. And that creates a weightlessness where everything now is everything going to go smooth? Of course not. That's why we train. And that's why we have these things and these avenues and these masters on here talking, experiencing, sharing their knowledge and wealth with us so that when we hit that mark where we have bumps in the road, we don't go around them. We don't try to go around them. We have to go through it. But we go through it together because if I go through a certain situation and I use maybe, and I know you don't mind me mentioning his name on the show, maybe I use Samuel Sadiq's um, advice. I called Sam and I said, "Hey, Sam, listen, buddy, I'm having a hard time understanding this. I need some help. Have you experienced anything like this?" He said, "Yeah, yeah, yeah. Look, this is what happened to me, and it happened to
Hmm.
me." And I listened. I listen. The ear must listen always. I listen and I respond to what he said by putting that to use. And I went through it. I went over the bump in the road. I didn't get stuck on the speed bump where my wheels is off the ground. I'm sitting there having to call a tow truck now. Sam was my tow truck. He pushed me right on through. And by his experience in something, um, it helped me get through it a whole lot smoother. And he shared that with me. I think that's the direction. I should be able to change directions. And you know, that's what Isshinryu is about. The art of giving, but giving one, giving all of one to someone else and expecting nothing in return. I think that's a lot of what this code is talking about when it comes to applying this to our lives, or to our understandings, but also our training. If you see a white belt over there struggling, remember Remember, you struggled too one time. How did you get through it? How about going
Hmm.
over there and sharing with that white belt? Hey, you know, when I was training, I had a hard time in this area too. And this is something that helped me. And I'll share it with you because what I had to do was change direction, change my perspective, change my thinking on this technique so that I could get an understanding so that my whole body could get through this, not just part of my body. If I stick part of my body under that hammer and hit it, it's going to hurt. If I remove all my body, I change directions and remove all my body, the hammer hits the wood's going to hurt. I'm sorry for the wood, but the wood isn't my thumb, and I think it'll be fine. It could take another beating. However, if I stick my thumb under there, do you think I'm going to stick the rest of my hand under there when somebody's swinging it or the hammer falls? No. So, understanding those aspects, especially when it comes to combative techniques. What if the direction changes? What if you spend all your time training standing up? You're training, you're standing up, boom, boom, boom. I'm training. I'm getting pretty good. Boom, boom, boom. I'm throwing punches. I'm throwing kicks. And all I do is training standing up. And then all of a sudden, something happens and I end up on my back on the ground. Well, I changed directions. I did do that. And I may have did it on my behalf or their behalf. But what if I never trained my training in that direction? What if I never directed my training to the ground? What am I going to do when I get down there? I don't know. I've never been down there. What do I do? Well, that may be an avenue that you need to take. Does your side block protect you in all situations? Is it a strike? Is it a block? Or is it both? I say it's both. I say it can be used in many different things. It doesn't have to be just, it has a label on it. And I think when we put labels on things, that can be detrimental to what the value of the lesson is. I think it's a protector. I would call it a protector, a deflector, or a redirector, but I also think it's a strike. I think it's a choke. I think it's a grab. I think it's a lock. There's many different usages for your tools besides it's a side block. You know, it's amazing because if you think about things, if you think about, and I'm gonna get a little bit of mental on you here. If you think about electricity, if you think about electricity, okay, you got wires running all through your house, and each wire runs to different specific things. For example, you got electricity that runs to your light switch. You got electricity that runs to your heater. You got electricity that runs to your air conditioner. You got electricity that runs to anything that you have electric in your house. We'll say the body of your house. You have all that electricity running in many different areas, running many different things at the same exact time. It's an overload of electricity. I mean, if you think about living inside of a lightning bolt, that's pretty much what you live inside your house. There's electricity all around you, over you, side you, under you, everywhere. The minute I hit that light switch, the minute or the second that I hit that light switch from off to on, what happens? Boom, light comes on. That quick. That no it does. Hopefully it does. But there's still electricity running through there whether the light works or not. Because now it's got to go from there to the light. But the minute I hit that switch, there's a high percentage that the light will pop right on. And the minute I push it back down to cut it off, it goes off. And if I sit there and flick it up and down, it goes on and off and on and off and on and off. The electricity changes direction that quick. That quick. Think about that. If I cut the air conditioner on and the light on at the same time, electricity disperses itself to two different avenues and it comes on. Now, your bill goes higher because you're using more things. What I just say, the bill goes higher. That means that you're using more electricity at the same exact time. The body should be able to change directions at any time. If I need to punch over here and block over there, or do we have katas that teach us to do things simultaneously? One to the left, one to the right, one behind us, one in front. I say, yeah. I say we do. I say it's all of our katas. I say that we are preparing ourselves for an attack from any direction at any given time, just like electricity. My question to you is, are you spending more time focusing on one part of that electrical unit than you are the other? If not, it's not going to work when you need it to, if you neglect it. So we must come together as one. We must do things as one. We must help each other out as one, which is Isshin, one, heart way. And we must do it with the right heart and the right direction and the right frame of mind with the right demeanor so that we have a positive outcome. Now, is the positive, let's change directions, which is what tonight's class is for. Does the negative outweigh the positive? Does the positive outweigh the negative? If you do, you're going to blow a fuse. It's got to be balanced. These codes are so important. I get chills. I'm getting chills now just thinking about this because I really I'm not trying to make this hard for you. but I want you to understand something. The negative side of that has to be grounded. If it's not grounded, you're going to have a fire. You're going to have an overheating. You're going to blow a fuse. It has to be grounded. And that grounding is the most important part, the roots of that, the keeping the things grounded, um, the roots in which you do this, the manner of drinking or spitting is neither hard or soft. It doesn't say the drinking or spitting is neither hard or soft. It says the manner in which we do it. So the grounding of that, we have to have strong, fundamentally based techniques. We have to train our Yumiyashis. We have to change our, we have to implement our transitions, our Yumiyashis, our stance changing, our stance positions. We have to change these. We have to get fundamentally sound, not only there, but in life, in everything that we do. We have to solidify and secure and protect that foundation in which all this is built. It has to be grounded. It has to be implemented that way. So our job as Isshinryu instructors or Isshinryu students or Isshinryu practitioners, if we are associated with that, we have to reinforce those standards. We are only as strong as our standards. And the standard that you stand up for shows where you stand to everybody in the world. So if your stance is weak, everything is weak. You have to take a stand. You have to support and show why you support these standards. Can't just say, I support this standard. I want to. No, why? There has to be an understanding. And you have to share it because that's what we're talking about. The body should be able to change directions at any time. We should be able to prepare ourselves for that change. Society has changed. Society has changed and it's ever changing. It's evolving. Our style has to change with society. We have to take on the new things, but we have to secure the foundation of the old things in order for the new things to be able to build on top of it. You have a weak foundation, it's going to crumble and fall. One thing as a child, and I was talking to a couple children's in the school last week about their change. I noticed something about when they was training. Well, sensei's on here. I noticed that, and other people may not, but I really pay attention to the students, and I like to see their personalities change. I like to see their activities change, and they change when they're ready for it to be accepted by their whole body, not when part of them is ready. I seen one kid that coming to school and I've been talking to him about, look, if you need help with your grades, I do, sensei. I just can't get the school stuff and I'm just having a hard time. I'm really trying. I'm really trying really hard. Um, and this past week he come up to me and he's smiling. And I'm like, what's wrong with you? I'm on spring break. I'm out of school. And I'm like, oh, well, you was ready for that change. He was like, yeah, but the good part is I can go in knowing that I got all A's this time. What? You know, sometimes them watching us, listening to us when we think they're not listening, he adapted some kind of change in the manner in which he was doing his school, and it paid off for him. All because somebody shared a story about, I don't know what it was, but somebody shared a story and it made a difference in that child's life. But seeing them change in the physical aspect, when they first started, they were all over the place. They were, their blocks were over here and out here and down here. And I noticed that in my school, um, and I'm gonna bring that comment up because that's an excellent point, Gregory White. Thank you. I'm gonna bring that up in just a minute. In my school, I've seen them change every time I was teaching them something, and I look down, their blocks would be way up over their head, way up over their head. I mean, I'm talking way up there, and I'm like, what in the world are
I'm
you
trying to
talking?
get it. Hold on.
You got it up there. You got it up there. But their blocks are way up above their head, and I got to thinking about something. And I got to studying that thing and I got to looking at that thing. I was like,
Oh,
the reason why their blocks are way up over their head because they're constantly looking up toward me. And they're trying to reach because when you look up, it looks higher than what it is. So what I had to do was I had to change directions. I had to get down on their level. And once I got down to their height, their blocks started getting in the position where they needed to be. I had to come down to their level. Now, hey, I'm using that as a reference. Sometimes you may have to get down here on somebody's level. You may have to go through it with them. Remember, I was talking about me and Sam going over the speed bump. He may have already went over that speed bump. He had to turn around and go right back through it again. For me, for me, I had to get down on their level, and I seen that change in their kata now. Now they can defend themselves. Now they're just putting that thing right over their head to where now they can get to that nose or get to that eye or get to that neck. So Gregory White shared something, and it's up on the page if you want to see it. Seisan Kata exhibits all the physical fundamentals that I'm talking about. Punches, kicks, blocks, directions, stances. All those fundamentals can change our viewpoints and open our minds as we train. Absolutely. You know what? And Greg, you know what? I hope you don't mind me calling you Greg. If Sensei Greg, I'm just me. But anyway, Mr. Wright, I'll say Mr. Wright just to be respectful because that is an awesome point. I showed my wife something this week, and it's a true thing. I showed her the clock system, and being that this
yeah.
tonight's thing is on changing directions, the clock system. So we've got a 12, a 6, a 3, and a 9. And then it goes 12, 1, 2. Well, if you take 12 and you circle the 12 and you circle the 1 on a clock and you add those together, it becomes 13. Okay. If you take and I have it written out here, by the way, if you think I'm kidding, I don't know if you can see it or not. It's little. But then if you
Oh,
take,
that's what I was fixing to do.
and then if you take the 11 and and circle the 11 and the 2, it comes out to 13. If you take the 10 and the 3, it comes out to 13. Okay. You take the 9 and the 4, it comes out to 13. The 8 and the 5 comes out to 13. The 8 and 6 comes out to 13. That covers all 12 directions that you need to go. The 13 is the middle. But if you add those together and circle, it's very interesting to see. Shaysan, 13. Mr. Wright is definitely on the money with that comment. So secure Saison, folks. Why is it our first kata? Well, I don't know, but you can draw to the conclusion of what we talked about tonight.
13
So
directions.
I'm sorry, do what? It comes out to 13. So folks, I really wanted to thank you.
13 directions.
Thank you for 13 directions. Yeah. If you think about Saison in 13 directions, well, that's 360 degrees. That's all the way around you in any area that you want to go. It teaches you those type of things that we're talking. There you go. You could show that again, Miss Rebecca, so they can get an idea what I'm talking about. Put it up there
Oh,
to the screen
I'm
so it
hoping
can
I
see.
got my
All right, so
artistic
you
work's
see,
not too good right now. So,
that's okay.
can you see it?
I can see
Oop,
it. Thank you for
there we go.
sharing. Thank you for sharing that, guys. Thank you for sharing that so much, Miss Rebecca. Guys, thank you for tuning in this evening. I got a few
You
minutes
showed me
left on.
that.
I did show you that last night. I got a few minutes left. If you'd like to come on to the show, or you like
Yes, you
have this is the questions and comment section. So if you like to type your question in the comment, I'd be more than happy to try to answer it. And I'll tell you this: if I don't know the answer, which I may not, if I don't know the answer, I will find it out and I will broadcast it on our next program on Isshinryu Today. So I want to thank all our loyal listeners. I don't see Carrie Weaver on there
Mm-mm.
tonight. Where's Mr. Weaver? It's supposed to be on here, but I want to thank Sam coming in
Not sure.
from Washington, and he's the first time. And Gregory White, thank you for sharing your time with me on your Sunday afternoon and sharing with our listening community. Thank you guys for tuning in. Enjoy the
Got
show.
a
Enjoy doing the
knoxville.
podcast. I'm sorry. Do what? I think she was froze there for a second.
Oh, there's Mr. There's Carrie Weaver.
There he is. Okay, well, there he is. Thank you for coming. Okay, well, thank you for listening, Mr. I love this on here every time we have a show. Well, guys, that's it. That's going to
Very loyal.
conclude Isshinryu today. I thank you for tuning in. I thank you for your comments, and I hope we can grow together. And hope, more importantly, that I hope we can spread Isshinryu, and maybe we have touched a life tonight. And hopefully, this will help in your training. Sensei Kyle Forrest, Sensei Rebecca Forrest. Thank you, guys. God bless you. Y'all have a wonderful work week. We'll see you back here next Sunday at 3 o'clock, where we'll cover the sixth
Three.
code of Isshinryu Karate at 3 o'clock next Sunday. God bless you. Have a good evening.